Hey everyone, welcome to the Geo Community Call for May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Uh-huh. Uh, Great to see everyone. We had a really great week last week. We're dialing a lot of things in. Um, and It's been some really nice posts from people over the week, um, which we are always really happy to see. Um, Let's go around and get the updates from the week. Hopefully, things have been getting smoother on the coordination front. Um, it's going to sound like a bit of a repeat, but I hope that the community calls will be getting smoother this week. I know every week they spend more time on it. There's little glitches here and there. Please share your feedback, and I think they're getting close to having resolved most of the issues. So we'll see if this is the week where things are smooth. Um, Also, in the final resolution on some of the stuff for actually scheduling the community calls. We're integrating something called a rendezvous server, which is what makes it so that if somebody changes the time of the event, then it updates on everybody's calendar. So that'll be really great because, yeah, previously when people added um, the calendar events and changed them, people were showing up at the wrong times, which is not the experience that we want. So hopefully we'll be in a position to test that out this week. Um, but in general, it feels like people have been in a groove with creating bounties, assigning bounties, reviewing bounties. So y'all can provide some feedback. We'll have some discussion at the end. But let's see what last week brought us. So, Arturis, you want to start with the looking back on the content side?
Let's do it. So let's take a look at the content across the different spaces. So we can start with crypto. So we have major historical crypto airdrops right here. Um, this has some curation aspect to it because these are the biggest ones, sort of the most influential ones. The interesting part here, I would say, is the purpose of the airdrop, liquidity mining programs, fair launch token models, retroactive token distributions. So understanding this is kind of interesting. We were thinking of maybe what would be interesting as well is a few claims that would explain what was historic about it and sort of having a good grasp on Geo on what's the history and what were the bigger things happening in the crypto that made it what it is now. Might have some value
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, cl claims about it would be interesting, and it basically like lessons. It's like what lessons can we draw from like what went well, what didn't go well.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I would say us like leaning into this a bit more and actually, I would say that the general approach is usually the instinct is to add like relevant current data. But if we can also learn, like set up things that we actually learned, and that would also help for the current projects. So I think this is like an interesting thing. We'll take a look at where can we go with this further. And then we would have on DeFi. So our editor Mo has set up a DeFi topic. We have multiple topics that are featured on the crypto space, and he set up a bit of an example how we can organize information around those. So for the first of all, we have protocols. So we have all protocols that are relevant for the DeFi. And then we have them organized in some practical categories. So lending and borrowing protocols, derivative protocols, Oracle protocols. So that's one way to organize. So this content is produced by other bounties, and it's just ways to present it and organize it for easier browsing and seeing how things look there. For any topic, of course, we have the news. So this is done automatic. We just, if we're producing news every day, and if the news is about a topic or a person, that shows up there automatically. Same for the podcast episodes. So if anyone's interested in specifically DeFi, they can see like what podcast episodes across different podcasts are about specifically DeFi and any other topic. and infrastructure. So these are the blockchain powering DeFi applications. So that's some consolidation work being done by Mo. So thank you, Mo, for that work there. Then let's take a look at health. So two highlights from the health that are particularly interesting, I would say. So we have highlights on top digital health apps. So products and services in general, I think, is a huge content opportunity for us to organize well. It's something that can be used very practically. So health apps. So these are some of the product services that we have. So let's take a look at Headspace. Headspace is one of the OG meditation apps, and some available in global developers we have here. And we have okay, so even the developers have a full page, associated diseases that they're addressing, products offered, and team members, therapeutic areas. Okay, so some information about the developers as well, pricing models, use cases. Okay, so if I can actually search apps for specifically sleep, specifically mental health, and other categories, and once we have ranking, that we can rank in specific areas, that's like a really good way. So like find the use case in health that is relevant to you, and you'll be able to see the right apps that you should be using. And so we have so all of these have a bunch of information like that. So physical therapy, chronic pain management. So I'd say that's an interesting data set right here. And the other work on the health space that's interesting. So Dan worked on cold exposure. And if we have any biohackers here, we know that the cold exposure is one of the most effective ways to raise dopamine without the drop. So cold phase immersion, it's a good starter method. So we have durations, the methods target outcomes, stress reduction, induced bradycardia, panic symptoms reduction. Okay, so so having a exact thing to do, and also what exact target outcomes are we looking for, that's good. And the part of Geo, of course, that everything is an entity, so we will be able to query things from any way around. So that means, for example, if you're looking for a mood improvement, you will be able to find specific protocols for it, but also the apps from the app data set that we just showed. So that's the power of the interconnected knowledge graph. But so I feel like this is like an interesting, good data that Dan worked on, which is practical. Also props for, yeah.
This is killer. Looks really good. Yeah, fantastic imagery. I just have one question here on the data side. Do we think we're missing a data type, or what is the best data type for these ranges? So I guess the idea would be that we would have like a start and end or something like that. If you go to one of these, so you can look at the properties.
Yeah, there's a code launch.
Right, so there's a time duration, and then I guess there's a temperature range. And right now, the thought process, I know this is necessarily, it's somewhat of an infrastructure question also, because basically, this impacts how you would query these fields, and so it becomes a bit of a database question. But do people feel like having like a start and end or something like that, or low, high, I don't know, something for duration where it's two different properties, that's awkward and they would like to have it in a single property?
Yeah, for the durations, I was curious about minimum and maximum.
Yeah, min max. Right, and so here one's for temperature, one's for minutes. I think this is an interesting open question. I do think, I mean, it reads well, but you wouldn't want it necessarily, I think, as it's like a relation per se, or as a text. So I think it should be like a range. And then there's just a question whether we're missing a data type so that you could have that range as a single property, or whether we would be okay with kind of start and end min max.
Also, one note to consider here, it's a bigger question. So, for example, for cold plunges, there are different temperatures that have different effects, right? And so some people use, like a specific temperature. There's like a level at which we're starting to burn like fat. There's a temperature at which we start to increase the dopamine and etc. So being able to capture like different temperatures, and those like kind of are entities in a way that we do want to capture information about them, like what are the exact results for that. It would be, I guess, much more complex way to structure data. Like, sometimes when we're setting up the ontology, so sometimes we're thinking of what's the best, the most clearest way to structure it versus what kind of works for now, just to like showcase it, right, and for it to be workable, and we kind of increase complexity slowly, not to.
Yeah. So let's put a pin in this, but I do want to come back to it because I think I think we probably need something to better serve this use case.
Okay. Yeah. So makes sense. Okay. So and then let's take a look at. So for the health space, we have some rehabilitation therapies right here. So a therapy that is connected to the care settings where it's being done, the goals of that therapy. So if we want to reduce pain, etc., useful for which health conditions is it useful? So it's a solid data set, clear, simple, also practical. So we have that. So then we can take a look at the AI space. So, and in the AI space, we have some work by our editor, Catalin. So one of the things we want to start doing a bit more with, and this is where like a quick note for the curators as well. We do prioritize content that is timely, right? And when something happens, if we can produce instead of producing a very intricate, complex data set that takes a lot of time, sometimes that makes sense. But what's really good is for us to be building up the community. It is to be able to show content, like clear, good, basic content fast about things that's relevant. GPT 5.5 dropped recently. So this is an example. Okay, so something happens, a new model came out, a new tool came out. Can we quickly capture some data about it and just publish it, and sort of show that we're alive and active here? So here it is. Like we have infrastructure and development of GPT 5.5, release availability and safety, some clear practical claims on it, features. To me personally, most interesting is benchmarks. I think this is where exactly we should focus. It should be like actually a high quality bounty that should be given to some of the best curators. This is the way that we can actually measure and compare like real models, real tools, and make real decisions. So we did have a bounty on benchmarks before. We have captured some of them, but I think we could go much deeper into it. And for any tools as they come out, we immediately capture the scores and compare to the other tools in the same category. I see Adam has a note there.
Yeah, Adam.
Just because I see we have Vid in the call. Vid has a PhD in machine learning, and I think initially was working a bit on the benchmarking. Wondering, if Vid or anybody else in the call actually have any feedback in terms of how to, what would be interesting to them or to other people that are in the space to organize, benchmark wise, etc. Because I think they would be great potential candidates for to help around with that. But it looks great.
I'm taking a look at the benchmarks that we have so far from the previous bounty. So I have a bunch of these benchmarks, some links, known limitations, which is also really good to know, and measures what are they measuring specifically. So so like we already have quite some work done here. I think this is something that we can continue on. And more on that. So we have for Rita. So last highlights from the last week, we showed two people that she worked on. It was Dario and Sam Altman. So now she added a bunch more data about different people right here. And we can see, for example, for Noam Shazer. So if we click on the person, We can see here we have some data about employment, education, founded a company, gave talks. Let's see for the talks. Yeah, we have the video to see the talk itself. Published some content here, roles like X posts, worked on which projects, and X. Okay, so that's cool. So now the reason why we're focusing on the people here and having these bounties, so we have the people app. And so this data on the people app is based on the data that we see right here, right? So we have the properties right here filled in by Farida. And so here on the app, we have the same person. We see the same information here with some, looks a bit aesthetically more pleasing, better visuals, key contributions are the same things. Let's click on the work. Here we have the work, education, speeches, and posts. So more to come, but I would say this is like an example of us building up some content and showcasing it through the our apps as well. And one more thing to showcase, we do have a new priority space, as we know, for the world affairs. And so this is an interesting work done by Ibrahim and by Ahmed, his mentor. So this is a timeline, and this is something that we do want to also lean into a bit more. This is a high quality entity type, which is a news event. And here we see how the Iran war was progressing with different events that were happening, right? So China and Pakistan issued a 5-point joint initiative calling for an immediate cessation of like hostilities, right? So here we can see the actors that are involved in it. We categorize events like ceasefire diplomacy, military action, official statements, right? So we can see what exactly was happening, the date, so we can sort by that. Measures employed for some, for example, if it's a military action, we can see, okay, so the measures employed was airstrikes, right? So we can have that information. Sources. So we have like an actual sources that corroborate the news event. We can read about it. We have a place where it happened. So a bunch of information. All of this can be used to create filtered views of the timelines. For example, we'll be able to filter by just military action. You can see exactly how the Iran war developed within the military action, or diplomacy, etc., and like which countries did exactly what in what order. So this is like a great contribution. Like one note that they gave is that the actual events could be a bit shorter. Like there's like many things are being said in one place, but other than that, this is great work, and we do want to see more of that. We do want to have like these views of timelines. This is like we're building this with the news app as well, but also even historic events that happened to us to help understand how we get to some of these situations, and what decisions led there, what learnings can we take from there as well. So thanks for that contribution there as well. So that's the content.
Awesome. Yeah, really strong week. Good work, everyone. And Preston, how are things looking on the product side?
Things are looking good. Great week last week. Got a lot of stuff updated. I've been trying to send updates in the product updates channel more frequently throughout the week, just so you guys can be aware as things are coming in. So keep an eye over there as I send updates. And then if you guys experience any like major bugs or that need to be worked out, feel free to ping me or send messages there as well. There wasn't a bug related to the membership count last week that some of you reported to Armando, and we were able to get fixed there. So thanks for calling that out. A few things to note. There were some performance issues in data blocks. I revamped the way that we are querying them so that they should be both much faster as you paginate through them. And also they shouldn't have any page issues. So previously, when you got to a pretty extreme page number, it started to loop back through to the beginning of the data block, so we shouldn't be experiencing that anymore. As you guys have probably noticed, if you hover over properties now, you get to see this description of the property, which is really nice for new users as they kind of look through the app. So as you create properties in your spaces that you're using, make sure you just add a short description, 1, 2, 3 sentences max that just kind of explains what it is. That would be valuable. Then the other thing I wanted to show was that you can now link proposals to bounties after they've already been accepted. So you can see this is a proposal I submitted to the root space, and also we updated the UI here a bit. But essentially, if you click this link to bounty button, you can then link it to the root space and then hit publish, and it will publish that link to your personal space. So now this would be linked in the curator app as well to this bounty. So that should make it a little bit easier to kind of manage bounty linking as you guys are working through these proposals. And if something has a link already, you'll see this. And then if you wanted to unlink something, you would just do the same and then again hit publish, and then you would see that unlinking occur. Wanted to also give a preview. So one of the more confusing elements of the UI has been data blocks. So we are revamping them a bit. So I wanted to give a preview. This will be pushed either today or tomorrow. Essentially, when you create a new query data block, the first thing you'll be asked is what space do you want to query data from? And you can query from multiple spaces. So I could click like Geo and documentation or whatever I wanted, or just do all of Geo. And then, give it a name, but click this check mark. You'll see these filters open. If you wanted to change the space you're querying from, you could just change it in that drop down there. You can add a filter, set the types to, projects or data set. And then you can also choose or. Right now, the or and is going to be a global or and. So everything will either be or, everything will either be and. That will be updated in the next week or so as well. You click done here. You want to add another type, you could click there, or you could click up here and choose other filters to add to this. Changing the properties, you can see all of the default properties that are either on this project or data set entity, then add them to the viewable. You can change your order of your columns pretty easily here. And then even if something's not on this list, like for example, it doesn't look like there's employment on here. So I could just search up here for employment and then add that to the viewable. So if it wasn't already a property on one of those types I've added, I wanted to add data, I could do that easily. You'll notice up here, there's this entities or relations toggle. So right now the relations data blocks aren't built in. So it's not actually toggleable, but once we do get them built in, you'll be able to toggle that back and forth, and you'll be able to work with the relation data blocks very similar to the type in here. Adding sorts is very similar to how it was previously. We'll also be adding the ability to sort by point or by uploads. So you'll see that as sort by score, and you can either do sort by score ascending or descending. Entering full screen mode is just as easy as clicking the full screen button there. And then pretty much everything has been pulled out of this ... So over here, you'll only see the view config, which goes to the actual data block, view block relation, or copy your block ID. So yeah, this kind of simplifies the data block setup and data block usage. So hopefully it'll make it a little bit easier for you guys to kind of go through and use data blocks. Another thing I wanted to call out is just a preview. We'll be adding the concept of property groups. So if you create a new type, right now we just have this properties entity where you add the different default properties you want on that. But we'll also be enabling you to add property groups. So you can actually group these properties into say, all these are kind of employment related, or all these are links, or these are ungrouped. And then on an actual entity, those will show up like this, and you can actually have collapsible lists of properties, because right now it kind of is, this massive list of default properties can be confusing, especially for a new user. And this will enable you to kind of have a grouping that makes it a little bit easier to understand what I'm kind of looking at here. So those are the main things to point out that are both a preview to what's coming in the next week or so, and what got added last week.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Awesome. Great update. And great work across the board there. Cool. At this point, let's maybe open it up for discussion, and then we'll bring it back to Adam to close out, to kind of looking forward. Let's have open discussion on maybe just starting with what's working well, any pain points, any ideas or suggestions, just kind of open discussion period.
Maybe as an open question, I think a lot of you are working on new bounties and are going to be, sharing maybe some early prototypes this week or next week. It'd be great to kind of share some of the work that we've been, either seeing or that you guys, are excited about.
And see, is anyone been using AI to publish using our new Geo skills by any chance? I think that's an open opportunity where I think, we found our productivity skyrocketing by having the agents actually, publish knowledge. And yeah, there's a lot that they can do, working first in a local database, and then publishing. So if you haven't given that a shot yet, I recommend it, and please, share your feedback with us so we can make it better. Well, it looks like we've got a hand up from Vid, who's got a demo to share. Yeah, that would be great.
Hi, yeah, I can do a quick demo. Let me just, I can share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Yeah, so I'm working on a demo. Actually, I'm doing the mapping of the AI data centers in the United States. I think that this demo was already showed in the previous week, but maybe I can do just a quick demo here as well. So basically, the idea is to have a data centers on the Geo. I think there are currently some data centers on my personal space. So there is a lot of data about each data center. This data is taken from the CSV file that I think that the American government is uploading every few months. So basically, the interesting data here is the name of the data center and the operator of the data centers, and also the latitude and the longitude, which we can then visualize on the world map. It's a very nice visualization. So basically, at the moment, I'm currently working on visualizing the data centers, but I have like this maybe long-term idea is that there are a lot of different types of data that I want to look at it from the map perspective. So not only data centers, but this can be like the conferences or something else. And the goal with this GeoGlobe is to maybe have in a more modular way. So basically you could, in theory, input any data type that is on Geo that has the location property, and then you could like switch different data types and visualize them all in one interface. So this is like the goal of this app in the future.
Amazing. That's super cool. By the way, we do have a different data type as well that you could use. This is awesome. It's so cool to see that visualized on a map. If you switch to edit mode, and you try to add a property, is that okay? So longitude. So it looks like that's a number. If you
I'm looking at the property location for that.
Yeah, so there's a few. So you see where it says text and there's a drop down there. It's yeah, exactly. So and then if you scroll down, so we have point. So there and geolocation. So geolocation I think would be the one. And so that's basically your Latin long. Now, what you'd basically do right there, it just showed that basically you'd create a property, which here it's find or create. So you could just name it, and I guess there's already, so if you just search for geolocation, I guess it could basically, so I just wanted to show you that before, but if you type geolocation, I think there's probably already a property called like, yeah, geolocation. See, it's a property there. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that one. Oh, there was one below it. If you search again, yeah, geo location. There we go. So
Okay.
here you could put Latin long.
Oh, that's nice.
Exactly. So yeah, this is an example where yeah, they're both part of that same on the same property. It shows it in here, and but then it's better like in your app to have it all on one map. So yeah, just a little thing there. But cool. Yeah, that's where that one is. Is that the US? Canton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mississippi.
Mississippi. Okay, by Jackson. Cool. All right. Well, awesome. Yeah, and super interesting, right now it's definitely one of those areas where we need to be building out lots of data centers. But you have all of these groups trying to fight back and protest about the data centers. And I mean, one, that's an interesting question I guess there's lots of reasons why they'd be pushing back. Maybe they want to slow AI down. Maybe they don't want the environmental impact. But those would be interesting discussions to kind of capture here, but also just to, yeah, have an idea of where that's happening. It's actually stunning stats. It might be, I mean, it's something in the order of 50% of all of the data center projects in the US are getting abandoned actually because of too much opposition, which is crazy. So I don't know if your data set has just the existing data centers, or if you're also looking at like where people are planning to build and what the current state is of like permitting or things like that. But like, yeah, those would be really interesting data sets. Cool. Great work. Um, do we have any other demos or questions? Maybe part of I feel like process has been working pretty well. So maybe we can start to kind of shift off of that topic. But to brainstorm any of the content in general and focus areas. Um, one thing, so Arturis was showing when he was going through, which I thought was a great call out, about how it would be great to be timely about things that are happening. One thing that hopefully we'll be able to share with you this week. Maybe I can show a quick demo. This is something that the Geo Explorers have been working on, our content devs there. And let me share screen. Just a little app. It's very simple right here, where you can paste an article URL, and it'll basically do all of the work that we already do to add a news story. All right. When you have a news story on Geo News, right, we get the summary, we extract the claims, there's related topics and entities and projects and stuff. So, that's like work that you have to do to kind of organize this. And we wanted to make it really easy to do that. And so we have this little, it's kind of an internal tool right now where you can paste an article URL and it'll do that for you. And the idea here is we want to be able to respond in real time as interesting events are happening, starting with our initial spaces, and then as we grow out. So you select the space here, and then we want to make it easy to publish. So we'll post the link in Discord when this is ready for you to use. Hopefully this week. We're going to start using it ourselves to start, but this would be a way that as if you're in health or whichever space you're active in, you could take a little bit of ownership to, you're checking Geo News, you're seeing, what are the, like, what are we automatically capturing and what are we missing? So, maybe on Friday, if the thing happened, where it looks like Coinbase is getting to an agreement with the banks on the Clarity Act, as soon as that happens, you could toss the article in and get that published. So that's an area that we're going to be really interested in trying to see how good we can get at staying on top of things in our different topics that we take on. So keep an eye out for that. Another thing that we're interested in trying to do a little bit is have people like claim topics a little bit based on that. So, we have our top level topics. We have our subtopics. So we're just looking at, the DeFi as an example. And I think part of that, is kind of organizing the page itself. And then part of it might be, if you claim, the DeFi topic, then as things are happening, in the news, it could really be like a lightweight thing, to just be like, okay, I'm tracking kind of the top protocols, the top people, they're all generally here. But then as things are happening, just to kind of stay on top of it and make sure that the news is more or less reflective of what's happening in that space, in that topic. So claiming topics is something that you're going to be hearing more about. Maybe you could start thinking about any topics that you'd be interested in claiming. Cool. So those are a few updates there. Adam, anything people should be thinking about on future content?
Hey guys. Just wanted to kind of touch a bit on two things. One is the kind of GeoForge program that we started. So we saw at least 2 or 3 of you last week make some contributions that are actually really great. I'd love to kind of share my screen. Ahmed, in particular, your contribution, was really, really nice. Moving forward, though, I think we'll be changing a little bit the way that this, weekly competition works to incentivize people a little bit more. We'll probably be creating a bounty, a recurring bounty every week, and every week we'll be announcing a different topic and starting a little kind of news story this week. And I think one of the news story that's still developing, where I think there's a lot to kind of curate as it moves, a lot of new and interesting developments, is definitely the kind of Sam Altman and Elon Musk news story. So we'd love people to kind of continue curating a bit and adding the latest developments onto Geo. And what we'll do for that is, we'll likely create an easy or a medium bounty that people can sign up to. And we'd love to see people contributing together on this. We're gonna figure out the modalities as a team, whether, for now, I think that the easiest is for you to continue contributing in your personal spaces. But as we move forward, it'd be great that, people contribute jointly to one topic. And build on top of each other. So yeah, that's one thing. I just wanted to share potentially some of the contributions from last week, but before that, see your hand is up, Dini. Dini, I don't know if your hand is up on purpose
And
or.
Yeah, yeah, thank you very much. Hello everyone. I it's like a feedback. Let me quickly share my screen. I want to show. Oh, someone is sharing the screen.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, he's sharing now. So I was requesting for a feature that could, that can allow us to probably export a list of a type, like disease type. Now I have a list of the diseases here. Is there a way to like export it? I was requesting for the feature from probably press, the product side of Geo protocol. So if there could be like a feature to export the diseases. Okay, yeah, an instance is when I was working on most diseases have no cure. I had their symptoms in, I can where is it? So I had their symptoms, okay, and I had a separate tab for the symptoms where I give descriptions and some other important properties for the symptoms. So now I'm working on some another aspect of diseases now. So and they may have overlapping symptoms. So and I'm trying to like reduce the duplication and since the accurate properties exist on GeoRed is why we add it. Also, I think it also help other curators too that probably want to work on this on probably similar things, and so they can easily just have a list of the existing entities and their properties on Geo, so to prevent reduplication. So I think yeah. So I don't think
Yeah,
I
that's a
think
great
everyone gets
feedback
what I'm.
request. By the way, it's
Yeah.
a super cool data set. Um, Now, I'm curious. I think we should probably give people the option, but for relations, do you think you would rather see have that exported as the entity IDs or the entity names?
I would prefer the entity names.
Names. Okay, great. Yeah, I think it could make sense to give the option there, but basically you'd want to like export a CSV.
Yeah, personally, I'll prefer the entity names.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Great feature request. Thank you, Dean.
Yeah,
And yeah, Preston, let's add that to the list.
Yep, I got it marked on the feature roadmap.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Deanie.
thank you. Thanks
Mhm.
everyone. Thanks.
All right, Adam, you want to continue with the demo?
Cool. Yeah, just demoing. So just last week we kind of put out a request for curators to kind of showcase and publish in their personal spaces on a specific topic. The original topic was kind of world affairs, and then we kind of narrowed it down to OpenAI, the ongoing trial. And so two curators did some really cool posts and posted actually, timeline and structured some of this in their space. So Maxime, who's on the call, did this great, um, really interesting kind of post with a lot of assets that he created. It was nice to see his personal take on it as well. And then that left a little timeline. So this is exactly the kind of interesting contribution where we think people contributing, creating a little bit, doing their own research, and then pulling it together. And then we had Ahmed that also did something in his personal space on this topic. A little bit of a different, way to post, but that's also the beauty of it is, allowing us to see the flexibility of Geo and how different people, post on a specific topic. So lots of key claims, really well organized, with the different sources and events that happened. What would be really, really interesting would be, seeing how we can kind of merge these different contributions together if we were to open some, Musk v. OpenAI topic on the world affairs space. But so yeah, showing that this is working really well. We'll be posting a little bounty so that people can kind of sign up to it. And every week we'll have different topics that are related to current events, and that's how the GeoForge is going to evolve.
Mhm. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that update. And yeah, there have been some really good posts over the last week, so please keep that up. All right. So hopefully people have good areas that they're excited about to dive deeper in. Um, we've been waiting to have our calendar stuff fixed before scheduling the weekly US politics event. I think that we also have Thomas, and I don't know if there are others that are have been diving into education. We are going to slowly start adding more spaces. So hopefully between those, everyone has something that they're interested in. And I'm excited to see how kind of this ownership area of topics within those spaces can kind of unfold. So yeah, please be thinking about that and posting in Discord. Are there any other questions or things that people are thinking about for this next week? All right. Well, yeah, keep up the great work, the great organizing, posting. The Discord has been really awesome. Been great seeing the conversations happening there. So yeah, whenever people help each other out, that is just super appreciated and noticed. Hopefully the flow with the bounties is also getting, a lot smoother, so people are seeing that show up. And we've got just a ton of exciting updates coming on the product side, as you started to see, and more from that. So yeah, excited to just keep seeing things getting sharper and sharper. So yeah, keep up the great work. Have a really great week. We'll see you guys in the Discord and in the community calls. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.